Hello, 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 friends. Nicholas here with DIVO TED Talks, Devoted Talks, where we take ancient wisdom and practices through a modern lens and experience to help you and those you love in suffering in your personal and greater worlds alike. And man, I just recorded an episode and I was sitting here judging myself over it. And then I was like, why am I doing that? Like, I am not recording this to be the end all be all that there is out there. I don't want to be um, produced. I don't care. I don't need somebody to direct me for my message because my message is always going to get to the person that is meant to get to, as does all messages that have ever been out there. And I have to sometimes remind myself, like, I know the messages are good and I know that I benefit from them. And I know that at some point somebody's going to discover this and it's going to transform their life and it's going to be great because it has already happened as it is. And people are like, well, if you did this, it would be better. And I'm like, they can't guarantee that. I was working with a group and they talked about how doing things their way would be so successful and all these things. And that wasn't true for me. And that's fine. But they also weren't here helping me with the nitty gritty. I couldn't use people just vaguely offering these systems work for us. And I'm like, well, cool. But how do you coach somebody into utilizing them? Like, I understand the premise, but like, if you're not in my market, how would you know how to do that? And I had to come to terms with the fact that, my boundary was, hey, you had your chance to help me and you didn't. So, financially, this doesn't make sense, not just on ROI, but on a level of service and care, right? Some people have, a level of life that they need to validate through what they charge and what they're offering. And so they set it high so that they feel a certain way about themselves and or how other people feel certain ways about them. But the reality is that is psychological, right? We're like trying to play with people instead of just showing up authentically. And I'd rather just show up authentically. Like, I have to have my prices that pay the bills. But, in reality, um, all of these prices that we charge are arbitrary. I think I'm worth millions of dollars with what I put out into the world. And that's not necessarily reflected to me in my bank account or what my revenue is with my streams of income right now. But on the same token, I don't need the money to validate what I think I'm worth. I'm really here for giving people service and helping them grow and change in their life and using examples from my life as the medium and the material to help offer that transformation and realization in their lives. And so what I want to go back to is life is a series of things. What they mean, we place on them. And so I don't need somebody to tell me I'm worth $1 million or multi-million bucks or $1 billion or whatever. I don't need my viewership to show me that. I already know that about myself and I accept that about myself. And whether it happens now or 10 years from now, I already know that about myself. And I don't need somebody to come up to me and say, this is what you are, right? We live in a world of people pretending about so many things and it's all so performative. And that's just because people don't know who they are. And so they're trying to operate in a world based upon premises that they have either been, inoculated with, or they have come to understand for their survival within the world. And so what does yoga and Ayurveda tell us about this? We want to clear our senses so that in dark or shadow, we don't mistake a snake for a rope or a rope for a snake, right? Because one is dangerous, one, albeit could trip us, but, one could be fatal and the other one is innocuous, comparatively speaking. And so it makes a big difference about whether you sense it correctly or not. And so yoga and Ayurveda want us to clean these lenses so that we can see that, so that we can meet people and know whether they're going to be able to help us, right? Like, I'm oftentimes willing to give people a try, but I was looking for somebody to fulfill a role in it. And I thought that they could do it based on what they were saying rather than seeing what they were producing. And if I had really sat back and thought about it based on who they were and what they did, it wasn't a match because they weren't doing what we were doing. Although I tried to apply the aspect of my business that was related to what they were offering and promoting. But again, because I had another offering, it distorted what it was. Plus the whole thing that I have a studio that offers semi-private training above a gym downstairs who does training as well, not in the same context or format, but similar enough that I don't know that their business model isn't impacting my results with my business. I just don't know. And then, of course, they couldn't know that either because that's not the context for which they operate in. Right. And so, if I had really, really been clear and cleared my perceptions versus what I was thinking or wanting to think about things, I would have probably been able to discern that more easily than I did. But I now know that, and I'm having this revelation enough so that I can say it now, and I'm verbalizing it because I'm an external processor. So, like, I am a Cancer moon, but my full moon, because I was born under a full moon, was in Gemini before it transitioned at the hour that I was born into Cancer. So, communication is how I work through things, talking through things, external processing, carrying dualities all at the same time is very prominent in my life, much like feeling is very prominent in my life. I'm very cuspy and stuff. I was born at the cusp of Sagittarius and Capricorn, and then the cusp of Gemini moon and Cancer moon. And so I've got a lot of these unique qualities that, depending on what's happening, they manifest, um, you know, in turn or in kind. And all I know is that I don't know what I don't know until I do know it. And then once I do know it, I can and do often and frequently choose differently based upon that knowingness that has either percolated or been laid upon my mind. And it takes as long as it takes, not from a standpoint of, oh, I have to get it right, but from a standpoint of, oh, well, if I could have known it already, I would have known it already. But this realization is now dawning on me, and I can see the world and feel the world differently now. And so I can appreciate it in the now and roll forward with that still with me. And so life sometimes feels like this oscillation between chaos and fated, which can feel very confusing. I'm sure some of you are nodding along and going, yeah. So, with that in mind, keep cleaning those doors to perception by starting to regularly practice and wash away distortions, washing away things that you are not, washing away anything that is not resonant with who you want to be in this world and who you are in this world. And what I'll leave you with is this. As an external processor, I am not always speaking in definitive terms. I'm sure you can hear it in my voice when I am speaking in definitive terms. I am processing things right here, right now. And if the truth hits you, it's still your dawning of enlightenment inside of you, not me giving it to you. It is you internalizing whatever it is you heard and took away from what I was saying, and it's dawning in you. Just as when I have interactions with my clients, enlightenment dawns in me and dawns upon me. And so I don't record this podcast for anyone but me, and yet I know that others will get a benefit from it. And I am egoic frequently, and I am a showboat frequently. I'm a Sagittarius. It's in my blood, but I'm also on the cusp of Capricorn. But above all else, I value philosophy above praise, above, adulation. I am a philosopher, and I want to know how things work, and I want to explore, and I want to learn and experience and have my mind blown. And so I'm glad to have these mind blown moments. And then also in those mind blown moments, learning how to hold space for myself for having it taken as long as it took to get there. Because if it's just commonplace, I don't know that it gets as appreciated as when I have these epiphanies. But also, I sometimes say things to clients, I'm like, how did I know that? Because it's already there, right? If life can be a rope in my hand or a snake in my hand, I choose both because each one carries with it its own lesson. But I do want to know which lesson I am taking away in the moment rather than ignorantly and confusedly learning by default. All right, friends, be well and be free.